Anne Cipriano Frigo was a 46-year-old businesswoman who, as far as we know, lived in Vila Nova Conceição, one of the richest neighborhoods in the city of São Paulo, capital of the state of the same name in Brazil. She graduated in law at United Metropolitan College and was heiress to the largest cardboard industry in the country, also owning several other ventures and conducting business such as real estate. Her fortune is estimated at $10 million. She is also responsible, along with a partner, for opening in 2017 the Museum of Imagination, an interactive leisure space for children, inspired by spaces similar to those that exist in the United States and England. However, according to the administration of the institution, the woman left the group in December 2020. Anne was known for having a very luxurious life, spending on very expensive clothes, jewelry, and restaurants. She enjoyed traveling around the world with her family, as well as touring glamorous parties, often featuring famous singers and bands. At one point, the woman started a relationship with Vitor Lucio Jacinto, 42 years old. They met through a dating app. At the beginning of the relationship, Vitor Lucio lied, saying he was a federal police agent and owned a surveillance company, but he actually worked as a security guard at a restaurant in São Paulo. After 8 months of dating, Anne discovered the scam, but decided to continue the relationship and invited the man to live with her. It didn't take long and she offered him a better job, where he would help her manage her real estate business. And it was like that during the 4 years they lived together. The businesswoman still used to present her partner with expensive and luxury objects. Among them was a Porsche Carrera car valued at nearly $250,000 and a bicycle valued at $20,000. Furthermore, so that Victor could be closer to his clients, Anne offered to pay the rent for a house for him in the Alphaville condominium in São Paulo. The rent for this property was over $6,000 a month. As the years passed, the relationship between Anne and Victor began to deteriorate, and the couple began increasingly distant from each other. According to close people, Anne was a very jealous and possessive person, which displeased Victor and led to arguments between the couple. The apex of where in the couple's relationship came with the discovery of Victor's betrayal. Anne didn't accept the infidelity and took an extreme decision, ordering the death of her own partner. According to the police, Anne Frigo sought out Carlos Alex Ribeiro de Souza, a 28-year-old realtor who worked for the couple, and offered him the sum of $40,000 to take Victor's life. According to the investigations, on June 17, 2021, Carlos went to Victor's house around 4 p.m. and convinced him to see a property, claiming that it was because of work, since both were part of the branch real estate. The crime happened halfway to the property, while the two men were in a vehicle on a highway called White Castle. With the car still in motion, Carlos grabbed the gun that was behind his seat and shot Victor in the back. The bullet hit the victim in the heart. Victor couldn't resist his injuries and died soon after. In order not to attract attention, Carlos laid down the passenger seat where Victor was, arranging his body down so that anyone looking at the vehicle would not see him. He still drove about 30 kilometers to the spawning site. Vitor Lucio's body was located 2 days later, on June 18, in an area of dense forest near a dam in the south zone of São Paulo. He was only recognized through fingerprints, as the body was partially burned. The victim had burn marks on his head and right leg. Everything pointed to an attempt by the perpetrator of the crime to make it difficult to identify the corpse. In later testimony, Carlos said he threw a flammable liquid and then set fire to the body. However, the flames didn't spread and went out as soon as the men left the scene. As soon as the police were able to identify Vitor Lucio, they contacted his family and began investigations. Anne and Carlos were arrested on June 29 after a quick investigation by homicide officers. The police obtained evidence of their participation in the crime through videos taken from security cameras, testimonies of witnesses who reported that the businesswoman and the security guard were arguing, and exchanges of text messages between those being investigated and the victim's relatives. The police also seized the cell phones of the businesswoman and the broker to be analyzed. In testimony, Carlos said he was sought out at the end of May 2021 by the businesswoman, and that she offered him money to kill Victor. At the time, she would have told him that she couldn't take it anymore, and that she needed to put an end to her partner. Still, according to Carlos, Annie would have discovered Victor's betrayal after having access to his cell phone. Shortly after leaving the body, the broker went to the businesswoman's house to tell the details of the death. He says that on that visit, he handed the victim's cell phone to Anne, and from then on, the two simulated conversations between Victor and other people to pretend that the victim was still alive. Anne would even have sent happy birthday messages to herself through Victor's social media, impersonating him. The victim's relatives tried to talk to him through messages when they still didn't know about his death. These messages were answered in writing, contrary to what he used to do. After a while, with the cell phone posing as Victor, Anne handed the cell phone to Carlos, who said he had thrown it into a river. Anne Frigo was arrested and placed in police custody until investigations were completed. She couldn't receive visits from family members and started to eat the same meals served to other prisoners, something she wasn't used to at all. From the apartment where she lived, estimated at $4 million and estimated at 700 square meters, the businesswoman was forced to spend her days in a cell with less than 20 square meters. When heard by the police, Anne denied any participation in the crime, saying she was a victim of both Carlos and Victor. The police, however, say they have no doubts about the businesswoman's participation in the crime. According to investigators, the woman had even devised an escape plan, having already bought a ticket to Europe. She denies it and claims that she would only travel for leisure. She would also have violated police order and entered Victor's house during the investigation. This happened 5 days after the crime, and she would have stayed in the residence for 3 hours, which according to the police was to eliminate any possible evidence against her. Security camera footage recorded the moment Anne entered the condominium in a black car and after 3 hours left in a white van. An investigation report from the homicide department says that she would still have sent 3 employees to the property to box everything that was in the house. The document states that the businesswoman's attitude was contrary to the police recommendation. The order was not to touch the victim's house until an expertise was carried out on the spot. Still in testimony, Anne confirmed the payment of $40,000 to the employee, but not for the death, but for a dossier that she would have ordered about the ex-husband. Regarding the woman's testimonies, the responsible delegate and director of the police department, Fabio Pinheiro, said, "We are sure of her involvement. She is denying it, but it is all a defense thesis. She is being well instructed, saying that everything came from Carlos himself." Still according to the delegate, Anne would have said that she was sought by Carlos at night, on the same night of the crime, and that Carlos told her that he had killed Victor, but she was afraid to go to the police. To the chief, this is a big contradiction, since Anne still continued to meet with Carlos. The investigators revealed that Carlos offered the password to his cell phone so that he could be examined. The messages exchanged with Anne were deleted, but the police are working to try to recover the conversations, which will serve as evidence in the trial against the businesswoman. Initially, Anne refused to hand over the passwords of her cell phones for investigation, but as the process progressed, she proved to be more inclined to cooperate with the police. Anne's lawyers deny her involvement in the crime and allege that Victor exploited her financially. According to Celso Velarde, one of Anne's lawyers, Victor's death was due to a dispute over his wife's money. In his own words, he said, "She's a woman who was exploited, had a lot of money embezzled. We are still doing withdrawals to verify the amount, and we understand, according to her testimony, that this death was due to a fight between the two, due to the dispute they had for her money." The lawyer also criticized the way the police handled the case. Celso said the police treated Annie as guilty even before hearing her statement. After his client's testimony, he said, "I have great friends in the police department. It is an elite police station, but as seen in previous statements, there's already a prejudgment on the part of the police. They understand that she is the author. It was said that they were going to complete investigations against her and asked for preventive detention, even without hearing the accused's statement. After the testimony, I saw that were statements saying that her testimony is not convincing, but there was already a predisposition to regard anything she said as unconvincing." According to Anne, Carlos looked for her after he had already committed the crime and told her he had killed Victor without her knowing anything. She said that on the afternoon of June 16th, moments after the crime, Carlos would have told her, "I'll give you good news. I solved your life. I killed him." She admitted to having kept the confession made by the criminal a secret until the moment she was arrested on the 29th, almost 2 weeks after the crime. She claims to have remained silent because she was threatened. Anne claims that Carlos would have said that he would kill her children if she said anything. After Carlos' confession, the businesswoman said she reacted by saying, "Are you crazy? Why did you do that?" While the man would have replied, "I shot him. I killed him because I owed myself." The testimony, however, only reinforced the certainty of the investigators that she was the mastermind of the crime. The fact that, in addition to omitting the crime and leading a practically normal life after the fact, the detectives have no doubt about her participation. For Chief Fabio, Anne's behavior doesn't match that of the widowed person. She continued meeting with Carlos, passed Vitor's cell phone password to him, and the two kept up a farce. Carlos sent messages to Anne as if he were Victor, as if he were still alive. He even sent her a birthday present posing as a victim. According to Police Chief Magali Kalekin-Vaz, another person in charge of the investigations, given the vast amount of evidence, the police can say yes, that Anne is in fact the mastermind of the crime. For the police, the woman presented false information in the midst of true information, due to the fact that there was concrete evidence that she couldn't circumvent, in addition to Carlos' confession. As soon as the temporary detention period ends, the police intend to request the preventive detention of Anne and Carlos, and both will be taken to a pre-trial detention center, where they will until their trials. On June 20, 2021, Anne Frigo gathered friends at a trendy restaurant in São Paulo to celebrate her 46th birthday. The day before, she had attended a lunch with acquaintances and relatives, thus maintaining a normal routine after her partner's death. These events and Anne's behavior further raised the police suspicion about her. The investigators seized the cell phones of the accused, the weapon used in the crime, and the vehicle where Vitor was killed. The objects will undergo expertise and will help the police in completing the investigation. The relationship between Anne and Vitor was very discreet and little is known about the couple's marital life, but it's known that they had a stable union contract. Anne had previously been married to a businessman, with whom she had 2 children, of whom she lost custody when she separated. It is not known the reasons that led her to lose custody of the children, since the process runs in secrecy of justice. What is known is that after the fact she was very shaken, and even published a post on her social networks in October 2019. In this post, there was a photo of her with her children with the following caption: "This is my world, but they take it from me by force. Why does it have to be like this?" The post was deleted shortly afterwards. Close friends of Anne said they were surprised by the case. According to them, she was always a great person, a good friend, a good mother, very dedicated to the family business and someone of great elegance. Still, according to them, Anne had a natural talent for creating innovative business, being responsible for several projects that she started from scratch. On social media, the businesswoman presented herself as a mother concerned about her children, as well as a happy person who liked to travel the world. There were also publications about outings with the children, and the night where she hired the famous Brazilian band Jota Quest to play at her 40th birthday party. In testimony, Carlos claims to regret it a lot. The police found that despite his promise, he was not paid the agreed $40,000 for the crime he committed. The 2 accused were held in police custody until the police could complete their investigations and finalize the inquiry. However, on October 2, 2021, Anne Frigo was released from prison to be able to treat a tumor she had in her brain. She was taken to Albert Einstein Hospital, where she underwent surgery on October 5th. By understanding that Anne's situation was very delicate, justice granted her the right to answer for the crime in freedom. That way, after surgery, Anne was under house arrest so that she could have a better recovery, and as soon as she recovered, she would go back to prison. However, on June 5, 2022, due to complication for her brain surgery, Anne Cipriano Frigo died. For some family members of Vitor Lucio Jacinto, this represented justice, while for other family members, Anne didn't pay for the crime as she should have. Currently, Carlos Alex Ribeiro de Souza is still in prison awaiting for his trial. If convicted, he could face a sentence of up to 30 years. Alright folks, that's it for today. Thanks for watching until the end, best wishes, and I see you next time.